the Oil and Gas Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, who's speaking right currently at the conference. Let's go across and listen in.
17,000 square meter event size था और इस बारी 2024 को कंपेयर करते हैं 65% इंक्रीज है. इस बारी 28,000 स्क्वायर मीटर होगा. एग्जिबिटर्स 2024 में 445 थे, which included the Make in India pavilions. इस बार 700 हैं, so 57% increase. 700 expected, excluding Make in India pavilions. So मैंने वो जो पिछला आंकड़ा था 445 का, that included the Make in India pavilion. इस बारी 700 not excluding them. And मैं plus मैं इसलिए ला रहा हूँ because अभी we are only on the 24th of January, and I think some requests are coming in. Only yesterday we looked at display of automobiles, for instance, etc. As you go along, so it will be definitely more than 700, excluding the Make in India. Delegates 2014 में 45,000 आए थे, इस बारी 55% की increase है. We are expecting more than 70,000 delegates. I'm not talking about others. These are registered delegates. Speakers पिछली बार 360 थे, इस बार 38% increase है. We expect more than 500 speakers. These are scheduled speakers in sessions, different sessions. Country pavilions पिछली बार 6 थे, Canada, Germany, Netherlands, Russia, UK and USA. इस बार 10 है. 8 already sold: Netherlands, Japan, Germany, Italy, Norway, Russia, US and UK. वेन्यू तो मैंने आपको पता है यशोभूमि होगा. एग्जिबिटर्स ऑलरेडी आ गए हैं. नंबर ऑफ कंट्रीब्यूशंस एटसेट्रा, वी आर गोइंग टू पुट ऑल दिस इंफॉर्मेशन इन द पब्लिक डोमेन. उससे आपको जाहिर हो जाएगा दैट द इंटरेस्ट इज ऑन द इंक्रीज. एंड with all the humility at my command, I can say that today, when we are going into the 3rd edition, we can say with confidence that it's the second largest platform on energy-related issues worldwide. In other words, there are special platforms like GasTech in Houston, then there's ADIPEC, but this now, in the conversations which you are having on the energy-related issues throughout the world, this will always figure, and it's already the second largest. After these 3 editions, we are hoping to move on a permanent basis to our designated home and site for this, which is the ONGC's 250-acre facility, which is coming up in Goa, which is in the final stages of completion. So next February, the 2026 session, hopefully, and for all intents and purposes, should be there.
Yes. Let's go in the middle. Yes, please.
Sir, कितने लोगों के साथ आपकी meeting?
No, I deliberately didn't go into the bilateral meetings because we have a very large number of participants, and those bilateral meetings are not only with the economic operators, also with visiting dignitaries, etc. So I don't want to announce that. That's why I deliberately didn't go into the precise details. But who all are participating will get known as you come along. We'll try and meet everybody.
Mr. Puri, good evening. This is Kalpana from the Economic Times. I just want to ask you one question on any update on the Ratnagiri refinery, Mr. Puri.
Where is that from?
Last minute.
Here. Kalpana from Economic Times.
No. I think the position on the Ratnagiri refinery, there's no update on it. That refinery was originally conceived as something very big. If I remember correctly, about 60 million metric tons per annum. And much before I became, before I joined the Petroleum and Natural Gas Ministry, which is July 21, it became clear to everyone that no one, not only in India, but no one anywhere in the world had the experience to build something on that large a scale. Because then you need that much hinterland, you need that much of port and the size of ships which can come in, etc. So I think the position as of now is that instead of 160 million metric tons per annum, you're looking at possibility of 3 into 20 million metric tons per annum, and for which discussions are going on behind the scenes. But let me tell you, our refining capacity is going up. We should currently be around 268, 270 million metric tons per annum. We already have plans in motion to go up to 310 million metric tons per annum. There's a large project in Andhra Pradesh, which is part of the States Reorganization Act 2014, which I think the Andhra cabinet has made some approval, and I think BPCL is looking at it. I think the state government has offered 75% of the cost underwriting. That's a big project, 90,000 crores. These are all figures I'm, reeling off the back of my head. There might be some adjustment and reworking of costs. So our refining capacity is doing very well. Issue is, do we take it finally up to 400 million metric tons per annum or even beyond that? And some serious discussions are going on about that.
So
Sir, my name is Gaurav Narula, and
Sir, just to take a follow-up
Just one
question
second.
on that. Does the Ratnagiri refinery have a future in that case? Because as you mentioned, BPCL
No,
is
not
also
as a 60
expanding.
million metric tons per annum, because I think there was difficulty in doing something that big. And so whether they will look at all the people who are responsible for the decision making will certainly look at it. And maybe a smaller refinery, 2020. By the way, the maximum experience we have, I think, is about 19-20 million. Have we done anything bigger than that? No, I mean seeing public sector. That's what I'm glad Secretary is here, that our normal experience is less. So we will probably take this one up to 20, between 20 and 25. But 60, nobody has any experience.
Understood, sir. Just
I
a
think
follow-up
let's go to the
question.
next
I
question,
want to be
please.
fair.
Just one more follow-up question on the same thing.
think, Madam,
BPCL, you said
we have to-
BPCL is setting up a refinery. Saudi Aramco and ADNOC, are they still partnering with BPCL?
No.
since they were partnered
This
with
is not
Ratnagiri?
a session on any individual refinery. We are looking at bigger, macro issues, India Energy Week.
Sir,
But the answer, one minute. Answer from, I think BPCL should address that. But I think this is a BPCL venture. I don't think you have any foreign collaborators, and they don't need any foreign collaborators. I mean, I'm glad you've asked a question which permits a very, very considered, comprehensive reply. We are expecting all the partnerships to increase. Now, we float bids. We just had a bid for the open acreage licensing policy, OALP round 9. We had earlier taken a decision to open up 1 million square kilometers out of our 3.5 million square kilometers which was a no-go area, open it up for prospecting. In the 9th round, 38% of the bids which came in that 1 million square kilometers. I have a law which was passed in a draft bill which cleared the Rajya Sabha. It is now expecting approval in the Lok Sabha in the next session. The 10th round of OALP will be floated. I'm very confident that more and more, bids will come in the 1 million square kilometers vacated. I'll request Secretary to tell you some of the other things we've done. Our biofuel program, for which 20% blending target was set for 2030. We have brought it 5 years in advance. We may complete the 20% blending by next month, which requires about 1,100 crore liters of biofuel. How much more do we take it to remains to be seen. Secretary will also brief you on the green hydrogen tender, etc. Bataiye, anything else you want to add?
The thing is, as far as partnerships are concerned, those which happen at government level, but the beauty of a platform like India Energy Week is a lot of private to private things happen. Because people come and meet, people come and explore ideas, people come and, when they meet face to face, a lot of deals then get signed. And we have seen this in the previous events as well, that a lot of bilateral things which happened got concluded or got started off at an Energy Week platform. Particularly when in the last month or so, all kinds of changes have been happening in the energy world. This is one place where people can actually talk and internalize, understand, and demystify some of those things. So that is a really big thing which will happen here.
Are we leaning towards
green hydrogen tender. Because it's not just fossil fuel and biofuels.
Yes. So Indian Oil, in fact, under the Green Hydrogen Mission, as part of the Green had floated a very big tender. In fact, it's a marquee tender which Indian Oil has, and I'm happy to report that they have received very enthusiastic response from various companies and JVs in India who are actually quite interested. And in a sense, the execution of this work is going to lay down new benchmarks on both costing of hydrogen as well as production of green hydrogen in India.
So, Vikas here from NDTV Profit. Sir, today you gave an interaction with NDTV Profit, and you spoke about as far as increasing capacity of fossil fuel is concerned. There are many more Guyanas waiting to be discovered in Andamans. Sir, just wanted to know why is it taking so long after Mumbai High and Kane? We haven't seen so many discoveries happening in India.
I'm so happy that you asked the question.
No, one addition to that, sir. And why is it also not interesting too many foreign players to come to India?
No, first of all, let me place it in perspective. Anything I do today, the maturing of that decision, which there's several decisions, the Honorable Prime Minister, because he's been in office 10 years, it took in 2016, we are beginning to see the results today. We went from a production sharing agreement to revenue sharing agreement, I think in 2016. We introduced the other OLP in 2018. So you see that. But I have a problem. My problem is that between 2006 and 16, a full 10 years, which is described as the dull decade, no decisions were taken. There was complete policy paralysis. And oil and gas is a sector, if I take a decision, it takes 4 years to fructify. Now, what has happened today is that today you're opening up. Foreign bidders, I told you, earlier you were not, if you were in production sharing agreement, a foreign bidder came in, participated, and then you found the oil, you turned around and said, yeah, so this is my sovereign entity, the guy withdrew. Now we had to go and persuade them, nobody wants to put in a big investment where there's a risk involved. So we said, all right, you come in, as BP has in the case of ONGC, as Petrobras in the case of OIL. Petrobras has a demonstrated expertise for seismic surveys in offshore areas. So what we have done is they let them come in as a technology partner for technical assistance for which they'll be paid. And if they strike oil and gas, then they will have the first right of refusal. So that becomes a more practical win-win situation for both parties, for our OMCs also and the foreign collaborator. Insofar as interest by foreign companies concerned, I said we are past that. Now they're all interested. Some of them have set up the biggest, data processing, computing capacity. We had some problems on our side. 1 million square kilometers was not open to foreign prospecting because it was their security or some other. We've opened that up. We are setting up a data repository in the University of Texas, Houston, which should be operational hopefully very soon. So foreigners like to look at data, look at what is availability. And today, those decisions are better informed and therefore they are bidding. Out of the bids which came in for the 9th round of OALP, 38% of bids are in that 1 million square kilometers of no-go area which has been opened up.
Okay, one more question, sir. From what I have heard from the industry is like revenue sharing is still very high, almost 70%. And when windfall tax was there, it was almost close to 80%. So is there any plan during budget when you are looking to reduce that or something?
No, look, we are always looking at ways and means of making it more attractive for all the parties involved. Okay, in individual case, can't prejudge. I don't know how I can sit here and decide what the revenue sharing formula would be. But as I said, with the new law, with the new draft bills being enacted into law, with the data repository coming up, with the 1 million square kilometers being opened up. All this is adding, I think, to a situation where there is renewed interest. What I said about a Guyana being found there, you see what happened in Guyana. I mean, most of you are familiar with this sector. It costs $100 million sometimes to drill an offshore well.